Hey everyone, a hearty thank you, welcome, and shout out to our newest Patreon member, Inded. His pledge earned him this shout out, an awesome exclusive postcard with hand-drawn artwork by yours truly, and a permanent spot on Game-Rave.com. Want in on the action? Click the Patreon link in the description box or at the end of this video. Time to rock. Hey everyone, it's Jason from Game-Rave.com, and welcome to the incredible 6th season of Game-Rave TV. Episode 75 brings us the woeful and confusing tale of the Buggy edition of Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Now, Midway themselves are no stranger to publishing problems, as their now infamously famous, hot new situation on the Dreamcast still stings collectors and complete collection of hunters the world over. With Mortal Kombat Trilogy, the problem became twofold thanks to one of the most bizarre printing problems I've ever seen. First, a little foundation to our tale. Mortal Kombat Trilogy is essentially the result of creator Ed Boon looking at Ultimate MK3 and thinking, we've got so much space left on the disc, let's just fill it. This holds true, as very early design schematics for the N64 version even listed as Ultimate MK3 Plus in pre-order sheets. The premise is simple. Rather than have the first 3 Mortal Kombat games as 3 separate titles on the CD, the characters and stages would be lumped into one giant game, with the storyline slightly rewritten and adjusted to fit the unified narrative. To push the roster as far as they could go, the developers tossed in alternate versions of separate characters. Rather than using their Ultimate MK3 ego, players could use a single button press to summon the Mortal Kombat 1 versions of Raiden and Kano, or the Mortal Kombat 2 versions of Kung Lao and Jax. You also got to play as all 4 bosses on the Sony side of the releases. With all those characters, backgrounds, multiple engines, and animation systems being thrown together, something was bound to mess up. And it's here where the real story of Buggy Mortal Kombat begins. When the game was first released, gamers started discovering that character-specific combos that worked in the arcade version of UMK3 did not work in the home version, at least as they were supposed to. It turns out, due to resolution changes that affected the sprite sizes, combo timing and functionality was completely turned on its side. Other characters suffered similar fates due to their hit collision boxes being slightly off of their original designations. All of this then led to another unintentional discovery, quite literally affecting the gravity of the situation. The in-game combo system was being affected by a weird glitch where, depending on the combo performed and who was performing it, the gravity was lighter than it should be, causing the opponent to float a bit longer than normal. This developed into an all-new assortment of infinite combos. Since this is 1996 and console patch downloads didn't exist, this meant Midway would have to reprint the game to fix it. Here's where that second fold comes into play. During the time that people were comparing notes, there were various forum posts across the country of people saying that they had a brown version of the disc, where others said that they had an orange version. Dueling colors caused a huge flare-up in people trying to figure out which was the first version, which was the corrected version, what did and didn't work, and more. When the game was released as a greatest hits, this caused people to believe that there were now a total of 3 versions: 1.0, 1.1, and the 0.9 version. There was just one teeny tiny problem. There was no difference in the orange or brown discs. The color difference was the result of the previously mentioned bizarre situation. The game's CD screen printing procedure was all over the place. To try and disprove or confirm the 3 versions of Buggy Mortal Kombat, we went on a shopping spree. The first test was using nothing but the disc color we saw as our guide. A handful of copies later, with ISO creation, music track comparison, and more, there was literally no difference between any of them other than the screen printing. Which is a good thing, since there was at least 5 or 6 of the orange-brown variations. The screen printing process must have gotten stuck, the machine kicked, something got misaligned. Depending on the disc you looked at, it was either orange, bright orange, brown, or a dirtier brown. Now, for those of you variant hunters out there, take heart. These are not true variants and are categorized as a curious, not quite misprint situation. No need to go crazy like I did. Besides, it was for science. With the color theory out the window, we had to go back to the drawing board. This included tracking down folks that posted videos of their Buggy combos, researching printing history, and more. From those angles, it was discovered that the import PAL version was actually being used for a lot of the videos on YouTube. And thanks to a friendly YouTuber, we were able to try out their version and came to a non-surprise. Their Buggy version of Mortal Kombat was the same as our problematic disc color version. That left one possibility to sort through, which only really worked because we had already acquired so many copies of the game. If you flip the black label PlayStation disc over, you'll spot a small serial number etched into the disc hub. This is the FPI number, and it tells you where the disc was printed at, along with what group of discs it came from. The number is split in half. The first 2 digits are the manufacturing plant where it came from, and the second half is user created. In the PlayStation game's case, it was used to sort printed CDs into groups using alphanumeric numbering systems. For example, IFPI 5005 means that it came from the plant designation 50 and was in the group 5 of platters. Using redump.org's information archive to compare notes, it was discovered that other games with variants or multiple non-variant print runs followed the same numerical pattern, with 5099 being the starting point. As fate would have it, we not only had disk 5099, we had numerical sequential releases, which means that we more than likely had the entire first print run at our hands. Since none of our discs came up different to the others, even our first print run did not contain the mysterious third version of Mortal Kombat Trilogy. On a more positive side, or Game-Rave related of course, the shopping spree was not without its rewards. A freshly discovered variant showed up, bridging the gap between the version upgrades, so we could now confirm version 1.0 and 1.1's full gamut. Version 0.9, it would seem, was quite literally just an internet myth that came from a very colorful misunderstanding. So to reiterate, there are only 2 known code variations of the game, and now 4 total confirmed variant releases. You can check out the full scans of the variants, including the color miscolorings, I guess, following the link in the description box below. Alright guys, that does it for this week's Season 6 lay before us, and the only way to go is forward. Again, a very special thanks to Indead for being our latest Patreon member. We'll see all of you guys next week on Pause Mode. Have a great weekend. Take care.